What do the Mavericks have to do to make the play-in tournament? Plus, we dial up the Stein line with our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, coming up today on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Curley. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs. Appreciate you joining us here on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports while you are here. What's the biggest questions the Mavericks have to answer in the final 9 games of the regular season as they attempt to make the play-in tournament? Plus, we'll dial up the Stein line with our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, when it comes to the latest on Anthony Davis as he looks to be back on the floor to play his second game in his return as the Mavericks take on the Orlando Magic tomorrow evening. Gentlemen, what's going on?
What's up, man?
We're just laughing about secret things.
Yeah, we're sharing so many secrets in here.
Yeah. You guys, oh my God, you guys would be laughing so hard.
Oh,
if you
so
just
much.
Knew, oh my God, it's maybe the funniest thing that has ever happened, but we're going to gatekeep
We're
it
having the best
gatekeepers.
time with our friends here.
Yeah. What type of gate do you prefer?
Oh, Pearly.
Oh, that's a good
answer.
one.
Yeah,
It doesn't,
good answer.
And oh my God, nobody ever gets through it that isn't supposed to get through it.
That's true.
Which,
Time will tell.
how do we end up on the other side? It's quite the dilemma.
Honestly.
At least it comes to the basketball one anyway, because it has been a season from hell, damn it. But at the same time, there are 9 games left in the regular season, and the Mavericks still have a chance to make the play-in tournament. Despite their Broadway beatdown last night at the hands of the New York Knicks, the Mavericks still find themselves with a chance to get into the play-in. So the question being down the stretch, gentlemen, as we dive into the show today, what's the one question or questions you want answered from the Mavericks in the final 9 games of the regular season as they get back on the floor tomorrow against Orlando, then finish up their 4-game road trip against Chicago before returning home on Monday to take on the Brooklyn Nets? What questions or question do you want to have answered?
Bobby, we're going to start with you.
All right. My question is kind of at the very end of the year. I want to know who they're keeping. I want to know which of these two-way guys are going to stick around. And like we said on, I don't remember if it was the pregame or the postgame, or it might have even been the previous one. We've been doing a lot of shows lately, fellas. But I said at one point, I'm not sure if they've even made that decision yet. It might come down to, are they actually going to be in the play-in or not? You know, and they don't have to rush to make that choice because they can't even sign someone until April 10th. If they want 2 players, they have to wait for a couple more days on the other side of that even. And so I'm really curious to see what their plans are with Kessler Edwards, Brandon Williams, and Kai Jones. You can keep at max 2 of them. You can keep one of them if you so choose. If you want another one, you're going to have to cut someone. We believe that could be Dante Exum if the Mavs are going to be in the plan.
It's the logical decision.
Yeah, no, that's not guaranteed to be the case, but that's the one that, you know, seemingly makes the most sense right now. But, you know, if this team, and the reason that matters is if this team makes the play-in, there's obviously a chance they make the playoffs, but there's so many guys that are already out for the year. You think like Kyrie, Omax, the list goes on. You need bodies. You know, what you don't want to do is go into a play-in game with 8 available players.
Sure.
So, and go into a playoff series, you know, heaven forbid, with 8 or 9 players. And then also you have the option to keep them in the summer and even in the next season. So I feel like all 3 two-way players have given the Mavs plenty of reason to believe that they could be viable pieces, you know, whether it's your 13th man or whatever, moving forward. It just comes down to how the Mavs are going to move, how the Mavs are going to cook the books to ensure that at least one of them, if not 2 of them, can stay, you know, beyond just game 82.
I think if you're choosing to open up 2 roster spots and you're keeping 2 players, I think you have to make those decisions based off who you want on the team next year. I think at that point it isn't a pragmatic, like, if Kai Jones was 3rd on the list, but Anthony, if Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford aren't back yet, I still think you have to prioritize Kessler Edwards and Brandon Williams if those are the first two players that you want back on the team next season. Because at that point, you're already making a decision for next year. So we'll see. But I also hope Derek Lively is back. And that's my thing that I want to see from the rest of the year. That's the question I hope we get answered. We still don't know exactly what the timelines are for either of the big men. But I want to see Lively and Anthony Davis together. I think that's the most interesting. It's essentially the bet they're making. I don't think, in the weeks that have followed the trade, I don't think this team was making just a bet on Anthony Davis. Obviously, in an enormous way they were. But I think they're also making it on size and on a defensive roster that is potentially top 5 and, their hope is maybe the best defense in the NBA. That's the idea. That was the hope. That was the calculus in making this trade. And, we'll see it next year. That's the real test. And I would be very surprised at this point if Derek Lively isn't on the team next year. But I'd love to see it for a few games this year. I think that matters. I think that's important. I think it's interesting too. I just want to talk about something that's interesting.
Yeah, and I think to that point, the question for me would be how hard are they going to push Anthony Davis? Obviously, we saw him with the 28-minute restriction that he had in the game against Brooklyn. Obviously, not playing on the back-to-back when it came to the Nets and the Knicks. They have one more back-to-back left this season when they take on the Clippers and a true back-to-back in April. And we will see when he gets on the floor, hopefully on Thursday, how much more he's going to be able to do coming back from that adductor strain that had him missing 18 games in 6 weeks of the season, and what that does for the chances of the Mavericks to be able to lock in a play-in tournament spot. A little bit later on in the show, we'll kind of go through the schedules and what these three teams in terms of the Suns, the Kings, and the Mavericks are looking like down the stretch and what that can mean for the play-in situation for each of these three teams. But for me, how much more does Anthony Davis have to continue to get and level up to give them a realistic chance that they can get themselves comfortably into the play and then potentially make a run from there if they're able to get another one of these big men back as well. So we saw him in the game against Brooklyn, had some decent spurts in that game. Also at times it felt like he was still working his way back, whether it be from a conditioning standpoint or ensuring that he wasn't doing too much in a game against a Nets team that's not very good, to ensure he wasn't taxing himself that much more to maybe deplete himself by the time they get to the game against Orlando. But having the couple of days off with the game yesterday and today, I'm interested to see what Davis now looks like in a little bit more ramped up situation when they take on Orlando tomorrow.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination of Davis, but also how does Davis play with a big?
Sure.
How does Davis play specifically, like Tim kind of you were getting at, with Lively, with Gafford? Unfortunately, we're not going to see any of these guys with Kyrie, and this is why it's a little concerning. So this year, Kyrie and Derek Lively played together on the floor for 433 minutes. That's not much. That's less than 10 games. Last year, Kyrie and Derek Lively played together on the floor for 612 minutes. That's not much. That's 15 games, if that. That's like 12 games. Last playoffs, Kyrie and Lively played together for fewer than 400 minutes, just 394 minutes. So you add that all together, it's about 1,400 minutes, which is around 30 games that they've spent, 30 games worth of time on the floor together for 2 seasons, plus a run to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, really important because unless there are wholesale roster changes this summer, Kyrie is your starting point guard and Lively is your starting 5. Those are like the 2 most important positions on your team, and those guys have barely played together on the floor over a more than now 2-year period, that's a little concerning as far as like we've talked about before. The Mavs very much see things happen on the floor and then respond to that by making roster moves. Well, how are you supposed to know what moves to make this summer if you see Davis and Lively play 0 minutes together?
Sure.
You see Davis and Kyrie play 10, 15 minutes together in that one game, that one time. Gafford spent, again, 15, 20 minutes with AD, one game, one time. You have no information on your best player, who's also your highest paid player, on your starting point guard, and on your center, presuming you keep at least one of them, if not both of them. That's just not a lot of information to go off of. Now, granted, I don't think if they play 2 games together at the end of the year, it's going to be like, oh, I see now the vision.
You have all the information you need, right?
But it's at least something.
I get it now.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's at least something, and they're going to be operating in complete darkness. They're like guessing and wish casting and hope casting all summer long. And considering the amount of hot water they're already in right now, that just seems I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why, not only the question with Anthony Davis, and kind of to that point as well, is all of this worth it given the stretch that they are in right now to try to make the play-in tournament, but also Anthony Davis not fully at 100% as it appears as he was playing against the Brooklyn Nets, but also how much more can you learn about the current construction of the team while still attempting to make the play-in tournament, knowing that you're not going to have some of these guys available to potentially make a run anyway. So that would be the other, I guess, question I would have down the stretch is all of this worth it given what the season has become and what they're attempting to achieve relative to their expectations, not just coming into this year, but going into next year as well with the championship window that Nico Harrison has created. Time will tell, as they like to say, when it comes to the Mavericks. We'll find out during the final 9 games of the regular season here.
What do you guys think you would have thought last summer if your future self told your current self that Spencer Dinwiddie is going to play the most games on the Mavericks roster? Play the most minutes? How close
I would
is
have
he
had
to
a
raw
lot
minutes?
of really, really mean things
Yeah,
to
I would
say.
have had a lot of bad things to say.
Okay. Yes, he has the most minutes of any Dallas Maverick this season. Not just
total
games,
minutes played?
Total minutes played.
Oh, my God.
Total minutes played.
Jeez.
No Maverick has played more minutes than Spencer Dinwiddie.
Who's second?
Kyrie Irving, then Klay Thompson, P.J. Washington, Najee Marshall, Daniel Gafford, Quentin Grimes.
And
wow,
Those are the only players with 1,000 minutes.
In terms of games played, Omax would have been near the top if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. Like, that's what kind of season it's been.
Yeah, if you had told me that Spencer Dinwiddie was going to lead the team in total minutes played at this point of the season, I would have told you a lot of things had gone horribly wrong.
And by the end of the season, this is what we're looking at. Here are the players on the Mavs that will likely, by the end of the season, have played more games than Kyrie this season. Dinwiddie, Klay, Najee, Omax, PJ, and Gafford already have. Jaden Hardy is tied with Kyrie, and Dwight needs to appear in 3 more games to pass Kyrie. That's 8 guys who will have played more games than Kyrie. Max Christie has now played more games than Luka. Brandon Williams has played more games than Luka, and both of those guys will end up probably playing more games than Derek Lively this season. And Lively has played fewer games than Maxey, Kessler, and Quentin Grimes. 2 of those guys are no longer even on the team. And really, Quentin Grimes isn't on the team anymore either.
Or Kessler Edwards isn't on the.
Yeah, Kessler Edwards. Yeah,
you said
sorry.
Quentin Grimes.
Yeah, well, he's definitely not on the team anymore.
Definitely not on the team anymore. That's for sure.
So yeah, it's just a disaster.
I mean, that's kind of the way it sums up. I mean, but that just gives you an indication of just what this season has been like from an injury standpoint, obviously from a roster change standpoint as well. And that's where we are.
Hardy's going to play more minutes than Luka. Max Christie's going to play more minutes than Luka and Lively
in a Mavericks uniform this year.
Yeah.
This is the most games for Spencer Dinwiddie. This is the most games he has played for one team in a single season since the 2017-18 season.
Holy mackerel.
Now, he has played more games than the aggregate, but he keeps getting traded midseason, and so it's split up. This is the most games he has played just for one team in a season in, what is that?
7 years.
7 years.
Honestly, we are sometimes we're Dinwiddie,
he's gonna be back
Dinwiddie haters around here, but honestly, good for him. That dude's had a lot of injuries throughout his career, and has been traded a lot, and he's been pretty healthy this year, and he's had some downs, but yeah, he's been pretty good. He's been pretty good overall, and it sucks that he's supposed to be your 5th guard, and he's your lead guard.
He's your primary guard.
I asked you, who are you most sure is going to be on the roster next season?
Najee.
I would think we all said Najee, but I think Spencer Dinwiddie is just right there for me. Unless somebody else is.
I'll go Derek Lively.
What are you eyeing about, Tanner?
You're saying Dinwiddie.
Yeah. I mean, at this point,
They have no
I mean,
guards.
if it's for, if it's for
no
the vet
guards.
minimum, that's one of the best deals in the league this year, honestly.
Yeah.
Him for the vet men has been a great deal.
I guess
Maybe he's earned more money.
Yeah,
honestly.
I guess it's possible he's earned more money. He is, 30, about to turn 32.
Mm-hmm.
Turns 32 early.
Actually, no, I want him back just so I can hear KG yell, "That's some BS." Every time he jacks up the third.
Well, the BS been going in as of late. So shout out to Spencer for the way he's been playing for the Mavericks. Let's take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, let's do a play-in check-in when it comes for the Mavericks, the Suns, and the Kings. Where these three teams stack up in the final 9-10 games of the regular season for each of these teams. And a little bit later on in our show, we'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, with the latest on the Mavericks injury front as well. All that more coming up next on the DLLS Mavs podcast. But first, let me talk to you about what it means to own a home and paying property tax. It's that dreaded time of the year when you get that letter in the mail and you figure out not only what your home is worth, but also how much property tax that you have to pay. OwnWell wants to make sure that you're only paying what's fair. Owning property can be challenging, but OwnWell believes when it comes to paying property tax, you should only pay what's fair. OwnWell customers, 86% of OwnWell's customers receive a reduction with an average customer savings of over $1,100. They handle everything from start to finish as well with delivering top results. There's no upfront cost, and you only pay if you save. So you got to remember the deadline to protest is May 15th. We're less than a month away, or less than a couple months away when it comes to making your protest. On May 15th for most counties, save money on your property taxes with OwnWell. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/DLLS. That's OWNWELL.com/DLLS today.
Get ready for the season ahead, the summer ahead, with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by only 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of styles to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. I love Shady Rays because I have a confession to make. I was wearing a different type of sunglasses from a different company that will not be named, and I lost them. And you know what that company did not have? They did not have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair by Shady Rays is backed by a lost or broken replacements. What is nice is that I still do have a pair of Shady Rays that has slid right into my rotation, and I have no fear about losing them. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades are rated 5 stars by only 300,000 people.
Where are the Mavericks relative to the Kings and the Suns as they wind down their regular seasons? The Mavericks with 9 games to play. They'll be back on the floor tomorrow after a day off today when they take on Paolo Banchero and the Orlando Magic before finishing up their 4-game East Coast road trip in Anthony Davis's hometown of Chicago a little bit later on this weekend. The Mavericks, of course, looking to get themselves into the play-in tournament, and with just 2.5 weeks to go, things are tightening up in the Western Conference, Bobby, particularly when you start looking at the strength of schedule for these teams down the stretch.
Yeah, so Sacramento and Phoenix are tied right now in the standings. The Mavs are a half game behind them, 1 game behind in the loss column. Dallas has to finish clearly ahead, one or both of them. In the event of a 3-way tie, they have to finish they will be eliminated. So they have to finish ahead of either Phoenix or Sacramento or both in order to make the play-in. The good news is Phoenix has the toughest remaining strength of schedule in the entire NBA. Their average opponent is a 50-win team. Dallas, meanwhile, has the easiest remaining strength of schedule of the bunch, and so that could be good. However, Phoenix is playing Boston without Tatum. They're about to play. They just played Milwaukee without Dame. They're about to play Milwaukee without Dame again. It seems like guys are just getting hurt all of a sudden against the Suns, which is a little bit of a bummer if you want the Mavs to make the play-in. The last game of the year is the big one, though, KG. That's whenever Phoenix plays Sacramento, game 82. That could be a huge, huge game. For the Mavs, meanwhile, their toughest remaining game by opponent win percentage is at Memphis. That's game 82. Unclear at this time if that game will have any meaning for the Mavs or for the Grizzlies. That could be just a rest off, for one or both of those teams. But based on how cramped the Western Conference playoff picture is right now, I'm assuming that game probably will end up mattering for Memphis. So it could be really, really tough.
Yeah, that includes also 2 games against the Clippers, 1 against the Lakers, and also they played the Toronto Raptors. Part of that final 4 or 5 game stretch. But yeah, that game against Memphis is definitely huge. Let's take a look at each of these 3 teams. Obviously, let's start with your Dallas Mavericks when it comes to what their schedule looks like in the final 9 games of the season. Of course, having lost last night to the New York Knicks on the road, they got games on Thursday and Saturday against Orlando and Chicago before they come home for a quick 2-game homestand against the Brooklyn Nets and the Atlanta Hawks. And then, as we mentioned, a baseball series on a back-to-back April 4th and 5th against Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers, where they see the Wall in Intuit Dome. And then they come home, of course, for the big game remaining on their schedule in terms of a fan perspective standpoint on April 9th when they welcome in Luka Doncic and the Los Angeles Lakers. And then they'll take on the Raptors and then the Memphis Grizzlies on the road on April 13th in the regular season finale. Let's take a look at the.
It's so crazy how the schedule lined up with just 4 straight off days, 3 straight off days to build into the Luka return.
The Lucas, yeah.
Did Adam Silver? I know you're listening.
Oh my
Wait,
God.
toss that back up real quick.
Did you know something?
Toss that back up real quick.
Oh my God.
Did you know something?
So the Lakers, yeah.
Sunday, Monday,
wow.
My
Tuesday.
God.
So they will be, the Mavericks will be rested up pretty good. They'll have 4 days off.
All right,
between-
I'm a conspiracist.
Wow.
I am
Everything
all
is
in.
going on a lot more than we think it is.
I am all in on the conspiracy theories. This was clearly set up. Honestly, if it was truly set up, he probably would have done it like Saturday 2:30. So even Slovenians could tune in. Actually, I don't know. Probably would be a little bit more prime time.
That's a great catch there. I had forgotten that there was 4 days off between that Clippers game and the Lakers game for the Mavericks. So, yes, they will be quite rested up. The Mavericks, by the time they see Luka Doncic to come. Let's take a look at the next team, and let's go with the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns, their remaining schedule, Bobby started to mention it. They are at home tonight against the Boston Celtics. No Jason Tatum for the Celtics tonight. The Suns are finishing up a 5-game homestand. They're 4-0 currently on that 5-game homestand after Devin Booker's game winner against the Bucks the other night. But
I always believed in them.
All right. But their schedule is hellacious. As Bobby mentioned, 620 win percentage for the Suns' opponents. They've got games at Minnesota, then they come home against Houston. Then they're on the road, check this out, against Milwaukee, Boston, and New York before coming home to take on the Warriors, the Thunder, and then the San Antonio Spurs. They get a little bit of a break there, I guess. And then they finish up on the road against the Sacramento Kings. Phoenix.
They could play 2 must-win games against the Kings to finish the season. Like the last one could be
that could end up being the 9-10
to pass Dallas and get to the 10th seed, and then they would play, and then the Kings would still be 9th, and then they would play them again. That's hilarious.
That is the way that it could be shaping out. From Brian Roby in the chat, he says, "Yeah, Phoenix is cooked." That schedule.
That's what we thought.
That's what we thought.
They've already won more games than I thought they would the rest of the season. Honestly, based on the way they were playing, approaching that stretch of schedule, they had lost like 5 out of 6 to bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and now you're playing a bunch of teams at the top of their conference. But like we say all the time, it's not about who you play; it's about when you play them.
For sure.
And playing Milwaukee without Dame is a much different team. The Mavs just played Milwaukee 2 times. In quick succession, just
stomped.
like Phoenix. But Dame played in both of those games. It was great.
That's right.
You know, and like just imagine.
Yeah.
The Mavs played the Kings 3 times this year. Kyrie missed one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
One of those games, Kyrie got hurt in early and had to leave. And then the other game, I think Kyrie was healthy. They ended up losing that game by 1 point in overtime. So, had health been a little bit different, had AD played in either of those games, the Mavs probably beat the Kings. So it's all timing.
Yeah.
All timing the way it works.
For sure. Let's take a look at Sacramento and what they've got in their final 10 games of the regular season. They are at home against Portland tomorrow night. They just came off of a hellacious back-to-back where they had the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Kings losing to the Thunder last night, which means Sacramento is now 2-8 in their last 10 games and lost 4 straight overall as of right now. But they are at home on Thursday against Portland. Then they go on the road for, check this out, a 6-game road trip that includes at Orlando with the Pacers, the Wizards, the Hornets, the Cavs, and the Pistons. The Pistons and the Cavs game, or excuse me, the Cavs game, the Pistons game is on a back-to-back on April 6th and 7th. And then they come home, check this out, to finish up against the Nuggets, the Clippers, and the Phoenix Suns. So
Really tough.
It's a tough finish for Sacramento with Cleveland, Detroit, Denver, the Clippers, and the Suns in their final 5 games of the regular season. So that just gives you a lay of the land for all 3 of these teams. As you look at the current standings, Sacramento still holding down the 9 spot right now at 35 and 37. Phoenix in the 10 spot also at 35 and 37. Each of those 2 teams have the tiebreaker over the Dallas Mavericks by virtue of winning the season series over Dallas. But Sacramento has lost 4 straight games. We mentioned 2-8 in their last 10. Phoenix has won 4 straight. They're 6-4 in their last 10, and Dallas currently 3-7 in their last 10 and are 35 and 30 after losing last night to the New York Knicks. So things tightening up, gentlemen, when it comes to the battle for the play-in. You want to go down 2 teams further. Portland at 32 and 41. They're 3 games behind the Mavericks. The San Antonio Spurs at 31 and 40, also 3 games behind the Mavericks.
Yeah, those aren't going to happen.
Yeah, they're not going to happen there. But that just gives you an indication of how competitive, quote unquote, things will be in the final 2.5 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and based on their win percentage right now, they're basically at 500. Let's assume that Phoenix and Sacramento both somehow go exactly 5-5 the rest of the way. That would put them at 40 and 42. The Mavs are what, 35 and 38?
35 and 38.
They would have to finish 41 and 41, which means the Mavs would have to go 6-3 in the event that both of those teams go 5-5, which is no guarantee. They could go 4-6, but they could also go 6-4. And if that happens, then it's almost a sure thing the Mavs wouldn't be able to pass them. If the Mavs, looking at their schedule right now, for the Mavs to go 6-3, you have to beat the Clippers at least one of those games, probably. You have to beat, let's say, the teams that are worse than you or as good as you. Chicago, Brooklyn, and Atlanta, and then you beat the Clippers, and then you beat the Raptors. That's 6 games. You lose to the Clippers once, maybe you lose to the Magic. That's going to be a tough game. And then you lose to the Grizzlies. That's 6-3. It's possible, it's possible. But if you slip up in those Clippers games and lose both, and then you lose to the Lakers, and then you lose to the Grizzlies, that's already 4 losses. That means you better win the rest of your games. Like, if the Mavs go 4-5 the rest of the season, I don't think there's any shot they make it.
Yeah, and to your point, that just makes the 2 games starting tomorrow and Saturday pretty big, honestly.
Pretty much must wins. They got to win the next 4 games.
Yeah, I agree with you because Orlando, obviously, they're still fighting in terms of playoff positioning for themselves in the Eastern Conference. And give a lot of credit to Chicago. They have been playing stellar basketball here over the last couple of weeks. Big wins against the Nuggets on the road. They beat the Lakers on the road. Chicago is no slouch right now. I know they're under 500, but this team offensively has been
they've won 8 of 10.
Yeah, they've been really good.
Yeah.
So that's not a gimme at all for the Mavericks that they're against Chicago on Saturday. So
it's still unclear if PJ and AD are going to play.
That's true.
I mean,
that's true. So that just gives you indication, man. Final 9 games of the regular season, you got to strap up because the 2 games this weekend, obviously Brooklyn is racing to the bottom as quickly as they can, so you feel like you can comfortably beat them after what you did to them earlier this week, and then you welcome in Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks on April 2nd.
No guarantee on that one.
That's very true. Very true. Atlanta fighting for playoff positioning as well when you start looking at the Eastern Conference for them, and then you got the LA teams in 3 of your final 5 games of the year. So with that being said, how do you feel about their chances before we go to break? How do you feel about?
I mean, I don't feel very good.
Okay.
But who knows? I mean, who knows? Phoenix is playing better. And if Phoenix wins a bunch of those games, Sacramento could fall apart and the Mavs could pass them. Both of those teams could crumble and the Mavs could pass them, or both of those teams could play. If Phoenix goes 500 in that stretch of games, that's honestly really impressive.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and the Mavs could still pass them if they go 5-5. If Phoenix goes 5-5, so I don't like the Mavs' outlook right now. Not owning the tiebreaker over either of those teams is pretty bad bit.
Yeah,
and if the Mavs would have done, because they're 1-3 against Phoenix and 0-3 against the Kings, you were 1-6 in those games. That is really bad. Like, you don't deserve to finish better than those teams if you go 1-6 in those games. Now, I know circumstances kind of dictate a lot of what happened between them and the Kings, but if you were 6-1 in those games and not 1-6, the Mavs would be they would be pushing for a top 6 spot, not a top 10 spot. So them's the breaks though.
Yeah, I feel like if anything's with these three teams that Sacramento is going to fall based off of the way that things are happening right now. But that's why they play the games, and we will find out. Again, a big one.
I still think Phoenix is going to start dropping a few, and it's going to be Dallas in 10. But
okay,
ask
I'm
our friends
less
at
sure.
PHNX. They found something in Ryan Dunn and Osa, man. They're
Yeah.
playing the kids, and they're getting them wins.
Yeah.
They found the thing that they found at the start of the season, and then went away from inexplicably.
Inexplicably,
it's working.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Beal's hurt, and they're winning
Interesting.
games again. How about
I
that?
never could have seen any of this coming.
I mean, it's what it is. Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. When we come back, we'll welcome in our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, with the latest when it comes to the injury updates for the Dallas Mavericks and the rest of the season.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Let me get on my happiest hour hat because we had a happy hour at Happiest Hour recently. We went over there, and guess what? We're gonna get to enjoy some food tomorrow from the Happiest Hour
Oh, let's go.
on our post game show. I
Did
cannot
somebody
wait
bring me
for
back
that.
a Gatorade
Yeah,
from
all
I'm
these
hydrated right
clips
now.
that you're seeing are of their appetizers that are always you can always get them at Happiest Hour, but right now, obviously, with it being the big dance,
Mhm.
it has
Tournament
never
time.
been a better time to go. The second weekend of the tournament coming up, there's going to be games all day, all night, both men's and women's tournament happening at the same time. There's no better place to go watch it than at Happiest Hour. They got more than 40 screens. They got a giant screen right in the middle of the sitting area that's incredible. They got a couple Pop-A-Shot machines there. They got great drink specials and, like you see, some great Happy-tizers as well. They can feed you and like 6 or 8 of your friends.
Or
and
20,
you
depending on
will
how many you
eat
bring
like
in.
royalty. It is
Yes.
unbelievable. So definitely, if you're ever pre-gaming, if you're ever post-gaming after a game at American Airlines Center, definitely go to Happiest Hour.
And if you're a winner like Bobby, that means you use the Sleeper to get you some extra scratch to get some of those advertisers from Happiest Hour. With Sleeper, it's the best fantasy league platform out there, putting your ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less in their projected stats each week. My guy Corella was a winner last night.
That's right.
and got himself extra $13-14 last night.
$13.98.
That's right, and was able to get himself a little queso.
That's right.
With Sleeper, the more picks you can buy, the more you can win. All the way up to 100 times your money. It keeps you in the loop with breaking news and major injuries with their instant alerts, so you stay ahead of the game and you keep track of league updates in real time, so you're always ready to outsmart your friends, including this guy over here. If you think you have what it takes, though, users can download the Sleeper app and use code DLLS Mavs to get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. You can apply it to any contest as well. It doesn't have to be your first. Remember, terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states, so make sure you check out Sleeper today. Let's welcome in our national NBA insider. You can find him on X at the Steinline. He, of course, is Marc Stein. Marc, what's going on?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Mark, are you muted?
He's
Oh,
muted
no.
himself.
You've muted yourself, Mark. What have you done?
I think it's on your StreamYard, right?
He's going to come back to us.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep, we're going to come back to Marc.
Oh,
here
my
in
gosh.
just a second. We were getting a play-by-play of wherever his dungeon that he was in. We'll get Marc back on the line here in just a second. He's going to
What do we call that? The Stein Lounge? Stein Cave?
Den
I think
dungeon.
he's called it the Stein Cave. So I guess it does have a name.
We'll get back to him here in just a second.
What's Marc going to tell us?
He's going to talk to us about some injury updates with Anthony Davis, Derek Lively II, Daniel Gafford. But before we get that, do we have the chance to play the what LeBron had to say about? Yeah, let's do that. Speaking of podcasts, LeBron James appeared on the Pat McAfee show earlier today. Had a lot of things to say about a lot of stuff, but also discussed his budding relationship with Luka Doncic and missing Anthony Davis. Here is what LeBron James had to say.
His name is Luka Magic for a reason, and you see that. You see his play on the game. He's a very transcendent player, and if you talk about that moment. You know, I can't put myself in his shoes because I've never been traded before, but I can have a sense and be a human being to know you commit guys for 7 years and you feel like, you know, this is the place where I'm gonna be. This is my comfort. And then out of nowhere, bam, you just get traded. I don't give a damn where you're going. It doesn't matter who you're pairing with. That's a shock to your system. Oh, yeah. It's a shock to your system. You know, even though, you know, he was ready to play, that moment I feel like that had to be said because he is still that guy. You know, in order for us to reach our potential, he has to be that guy. He has to fit out, and we'll figure it out. Let us figure it out with you. You know, because we need you to be who you are. But it's definitely, you know, I lost a dear friend and a great friend and a champion, you know, duo with AD. You know, miss him to death, and but we was able to gain Luka Magic.
Just Max Christie erasure first off.
the disrespect
hell,
to Max Christie, but that is LeBron James discussing playing with Luka Doncic and obviously missing a very close friend and teammate, of course, formerly in Anthony Davis. Let's bring back in our National NBA insider, Marc Stein here.
Oh my gosh!
Oh
Cursed.
man! Oh
Tanner
man.
was so pissed that he just deleted Mark.
Wow!
He
Said,
said,
"Get out of here!"
Real quick, any reaction to that? Oh wait!
Oh
yeah,
my
wait,
God!
baby.
We did it!
Hello?
Yeah! There we go. E-Cam strikes again when it comes to our guy Marc Stein.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right. That's right.
2025, and it is just microphone potluck.
I need that as a drop. Thank you. I need that as a drop. Thanks. Oh, did we lose him
No,
again?
it happened again. Oh my God!
Oh no!
Oh my
Okay.
goodness gracious!
We'll bring him back. There we go.
If only you all knew the true story behind the microphone.
Right?
All right, we see it. There's commenters. There's commenters on the pod afterward, not like in the chat, but they comment on the video
That's right.
talking about the mic. It's like, trust me, we've been on it.
Oh man!
It's just the trouble continues.
And we do not tolerate Max Christie disrespect. Okay, we care about Max Christie. We care about all of our guys here on the Dallas Mavericks. We're figuring out Caesar when it comes to Marc Stein and his microphone. A little bit later on in the show, we do have a question for you. Our question of the day: if you had the chance to be on a podcast with one athlete, who would it be and why? We're going to answer that a little bit later. I got some great answers from our Discord chat as well, who answered that question when it comes to which favorite athlete you would want to be on a podcast with.
Since we're just killing time, you want me to just monologue about the U.S. men's national team now?
Oh, now you have more thoughts when it comes to the U.S. men's national team?
You would not believe the amount of thoughts I have about it. This is the only fandom.
There's too much going on.
I've got two soccer fandoms. I've got two sports I actually consider myself a fan of. Right now, I am way more of a men's national team fan than a Dortmund fan, because Dortmund can't get out of its own way. So, yes, I have lots of thoughts about the U.S. men's national team. Love the women too, but I'm just not like in the sense that I am like studying deep into the player pool. That is something I've done with the men's team. Marlon Fossey, you should have been better. I expected more of you. Disappointing, but yeah, I did think it was an interesting parallel where the U.S. I'd got to a point where there really wasn't any other choice. You know, it was affecting even how the team was perceived, and it was the only way to really change that. And if Dallas doesn't change that, I think the big problem with the trade was that it needed immediate PR rehabilitation on the court, and immediately that got taken away. And so it just festers and grows and gets to a point that, you know, even team success next year. Good gosh, I need to go to. All right, that is a common one that a lot of people mess up. But clearly, I need to go to pronunciation school.
I mean, that would be quite the story.
That would be a hell of a story.
But yes,
If that's how we all got over this, is by all kind of getting together in one room and just sort of hashing it out.
Hashing it out, huh?
hey, I mean,
So wow.
this team is not the
That's
Phoenix
a word.
Suns. Okay, I'm glad you guys don't know about that. Never mind, we're moving on. But yeah, it just gets to a point where it like the PR. It doesn't matter how good your PR is, because I'm talking about Rick Welts and his comments last night on the broadcast. It doesn't matter how much good PR you put out there. And I thought mostly what Rick Welt said was fine. And I thought, like, from a PR scripted, what he said, the words he put out there, I thought those were good. I thought they came way too late. I thought they should have been communicated so much sooner, but I thought they were pretty good. But PR alone isn't fixing what so much of this fan base is feeling. And, you know, if they're not if they're not going to make the one PR move that could at least reset some of the fan base, then it just gets very difficult. Just, you know, something like KD, I guess. Like, honestly, they should probably. I don't care if they think KD is going to make it better or not. I mean, okay, don't make a basketball move you think is going to make the team worse, but it almost would require something like that. I mean, that doesn't ingratiate yourself to the fan base that you've lost. It does turn the team into, you know, very much a, you know, feels like a mercenary team and feels like a roster that is assembled for one purpose, that doesn't have any, you know, connection to the actual community and the fan base. But at least you get eyeballs. Like, that is at least a way to get people engaged back in the seats. So I just thought, you know, I was thinking I couldn't. It's funny. Like, I'm watching the U.S. men's national team. I'm watching one of my very few side sports fandoms that I really enjoy and appreciate. And by the way, just, I assume no Mark. I'm just monologuing.
145. Next segment.
Okay. And it just really struck me that, you know, just even as I'm doing my, you know, stop thinking about, you know, this team that is my job, this sport, this league, and go off and think about something else. The parallels were just so strong to everything that, you know, this you know, very, very different international soccer could not be more different, you know, while still being a sport than the NBA. But there is a lot of overlap, a lot of similarities to what they went through a couple years ago. Last year. 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. No, last summer.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, it's in a lot of ways, a lot of the right things have been said too late. Too much.
I don't know, dude. None of the right things have been said. What do you mean?
No, I'm saying in terms of responding to what he was saying about, you know, the words from example from Rick Welts last night. The words sounded good, but the tone deaf nature, I, at least in my opinion, I felt listening to them in comparison to what we've heard from Patrick Dumont and others who have spoken on this. I guess I have been floored daily by the inability, it feels like, no matter how well they've tried to discuss this trade, that no one can seem to strike the right tone when discussing any of this. In fact, the only folks who I think have actually struck a decent tone when discussing any of this have been the players themselves, whether it be Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving, and others who have discussed this. They are the ones that have seemed to have found the right words and the right tone and connection with the individuals who have disliked how this has gone down with the trade. But yes, Bobby, to your point, I don't think anyone has gotten this right, and the words that they have said has rang hollow in a lot of ways.
And I could nitpick what Welt said last night as well. Like, yeah. I don't think it was perfect either, but it was, in comparison to everything else that has come from officially messaged team communications, team PR, you know, team spokespeople, I thought that was better.
Yeah.
And that bar has been quite low. I feel like Wells didn't have much of a bar to climb over with the comments that he made last night, given.
Yeah, but also, what the hell do you have the CEO talking about this for? Like,
I thought that was very strange.
He's not in charge of decisions. That's not his job. Like, what are we doing? You know, how about we get Machine on camera and have him talk about the trade?
And I'm sure, well, you know,
Machine would be a great guest.
Our best guess was that Welts was in New York for the Board of Governors meeting. But you're also, once again, you're speaking to fans not in the home arena. That was the whole Jason Gallagher. Mm-hmm. It took me a second to realize what was being said there.
Mm-hmm.
You're having someone speak to Mavericks fans, surrounded not by Mavericks fans. And
Correct.
Yes, you were going out on the Mavs TV messaging channel, all that. Yes, of course. But, you know, it's a very small thing when it comes to optics. But it doesn't reflect anything about what Welt specifically said. It reflects that there have not been direct communications with actual fans in person, in the arena, in the home arena.
Or get Nico on the broadcast. Like it's a friendly environment. It's the Mavs broadcast. He can go on there and say some stuff. People will inevitably be upset about it.
Sure,
but if Nico said some of the things that Rick Welt said, that's at least like a step in the right direction. It's just really weird that they had him. Like, again, literally, like, you could pluck any employee out of the Mavs office and have them say the same thing, and it'd be like, why? Who's this guy? Like,
Right.
who's this woman? Why are they talking about this?
It took a real estate conference, a private real estate conference that then was just posted online a month later.
that no one knew about.
Yeah, to get actually, Jake told me that they had somebody send him audio from that, like when it happened.
He's got shooters.
That. Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, that just, again, the way that this has been handled on a number of different fronts, and to that point, as we go to break here, is the idea that fans and folks who have watched how this has been handled have seen through the words from whomever has spoken, and I think have continued to react to that, is that it feels like these are rehearsed words put together for individuals to say.
That's what PR is, though.
No. I know. I'm saying that's for sure. But I think fans are looking and seeing right through that and say, look, man, we just want somebody to be real with them, damn it. Like, they want somebody to be like, look, this is what it is, and this is how we feel about it, and say that in a way that it tries to connect with someone without being a PR stunt in certain ways.
Clear. I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, the Wolves pulled back. There's like everyone. It's a very cynical society we live in.
Yeah.
Nobody falls for PR. But like, we also recognize that like people in charge of making very like reckless or calculated decisions, whether you agree with them or not, that's just how they really feel. So like, no matter what he says about it, people will think he's lying, or people will view it as
or being
PR.
insincere.
So like, there's no way to be like, just be genuine, because he was genuine when he traded Luka and said defense wins championships. Like, that's what he really thinks.
Yeah.
So anything else he says would be a lie. So like, there's just it's almost to the point where there's no point in even talking for him to talk about it anymore.
Sure.
It's like, what is he going to say?
Yeah.
I lied. No, you told the truth. You said
you told us exactly how you felt. Yeah.
You said he's fat, he drinks too much, and that he doesn't play any defense, and that AD's better, and that we're going to win. All of those things are wrong. So,
let's take our final break here on the DLLS Mavs podcast for today. When we come back, a mic'd up Marc Stein going to be joining us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
But first, here's why you should be a diehard and join people like Sarah and Michael and Tripp and Ronnie and Kristen and Steve, who all signed up over the last couple days to join our growing community.
Sarah signed up for a second time.
Now, different Sarah.
Let's go.
But Sarah in the chat, shout out to you, Sarah, too. They are all members of our community here at DLLS Sports, and you can become one yourself by scanning the QR code right beneath me, clicking the link in the description below, or go to alldls.com/diehard. When you sign up, you'll get a free shirt of your choosing. We got more than 30. We're probably got more than 40 to choose from. We also just dropped a brand new, it's opening day tomorrow, by the way, in baseball, gentlemen.
It is.
We got some new Rangers gear. It's actually really cool. I'm probably going to cop one of those shirts myself as soon as the show is over. So you can check out the latest and greatest stuff. You get one shirt for free. You get a discount on anything else you want. You also get to join the DLS Diehard Discord, a great place to go hang out with fellow diehards. You also get to read the entire website, all that paywalled stuff that Tim writes and that people on the other beats in town write. You get a physical diehard card, and you get a discount on events. We got an event coming up next month, the inaugural Lone Star Open at Stevens Park, a golf course in Dallas. That is Friday, April 25th. You play as part of a foursome. You can register as a foursome or just as an individual or as a pair or whatever, and you'll get matched up with other people. You can golf with Luds. Someone already bought a package to golf with Owen Newkirk. We're going to have other DLS personalities out there as well that you can meet, come hang out with. None of us golf. We'll all be there, though, hanging out with you. You don't have to be a diehard to go, but if you're diehard, you get a 20% discount, which, hey, that's a pretty good deal. There are so many reasons to join, but all this stuff on YouTube we do is going to be free. It's going to be free forever. So thank you for supporting us however you choose. It is a pleasure to do this program.
AllDLLS.com. Become a diehard member today and join the over 19,500 strong in terms of our subscriber count as we march that much closer to 20,000 subscribers here for DLLS Sports. From Sarah in the chat. Not another Sarah. I'm going to have to fight her. Shout out to you, Sarah. But we don't want you to fight. You don't need to do that. And from Thomas Vara, glad I found you guys. This is a very good show you put on for sure. Thanks, Thomas. Really appreciate that.
That really does mean a lot.
Let's welcome in welcome back.
Not like
Yeah, you can relax on that.
I won't reenact that one.
Let's welcome back. Oh, all right. Tanner's like, not yet.
We're good. Mark
Stein!
Don't-
Mark! Come
don't
on, Mark.
touch the microphone, Mark.
Come on, Mark.
Don't touch it.
You got to say something.
Man,
Oh,
man,
all
oh
right,
man,
all
oh
right,
man.
all right, there we go. All right, okay, good.
Oh
All right.
God, thank you.
Woo!
Yes,
Like
Luke Byrne of Central Coast, Australia. I am back.
Let's
Trying
go.
to be-
Let's go. Let's
Trying
go.
to be back. Trying.
Well,
For how
let's-
long it lasts, who knows?
All right. Well, we got to. There's no time to waste.
Yeah, there's no time to waste. Let's open up that notebook, Stein, and let's figure out where we are. Let's start with Anthony Davis and the latest when it comes to him. Played on against the Brooklyn Nets a couple days ago. Mavericks back on the road against Orlando. Where are we with Anthony Davis?
Yeah, the expectation is that he returns Thursday against Orlando. Official statuses for tomorrow's game have not yet been issued. So I actually thought you were going to ask me about PJ coming out of the gate. Tried to get an update on him, unsuccessful. So we still await word on what PJ's status is. But the plan leaving New York was that we would see AD both against Orlando and then Saturday in Chicago in his hometown. And it's going to be tricky to rush home, and then you got the Monday night game against Brooklyn. But that is at least the plan. Now, last night, and just to be clear, you guys hear me okay? Am I all right?
Yes.
It sounds decent.
Yes.
Promise.
Yes.
Yes.
You wouldn't lie to me.
Never.
Okay. Last night, Bobby asked about the back-to-back against the Clippers on April 4th and April 5th. That is the last back-to-back on the schedule. Again, I don't think a firm set-in-stone plan has been scribbled, but the vibe I got is that where we are now, basically a week and change away, that it would still be on the unlikely side that AD can play both ends of a back-to-back. So I think purely in a forecasting mode from this point, the Mavericks will have to choose one of those two games, but I want to stress that that is fluid and could still change. And, you know, again, a lot of this is kind of forecasting and tea leaf reading, and I'm not with the team in New York, so I'm trying to do this from afar with a very fragile microphone cord, so I'm a little bit skittish. But
One also
that's-
based on the nature of this season, Mark, those games are still a week and a half away, which is that's like another lifetime. That's like
right.
that's a different generation of people.
That's right.
agreed.
Let's stick with the Mavericks big men, and let's move to Derek Lively II as he continues to work his way back from his ankle stress fracture.
Yeah, so look, I think Jason Kidd actually said this to us Friday night, and I feel like the quote didn't get a ton of attention. But I mean, he wasn't just talking about Anthony Davis. Jason Kidd he basically said the goal is for all three of the big men to get back on the floor before the season ends. And I do get the vibe that we are trending in that direction, and that we should not be surprised if both D Live and Gafford are on the floor in game action in early April. It's not going to happen on this trip by all accounts. I mean, there's still, again, when the Mavs left town, both Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford were playing 3-on-3. They weren't playing full speed 5-on-5 yet. But the way I understand it, I think there will be some additional work they get that's mixed in here on the trip when windows present themselves. And I think the goal the Mavs have is to get both of those guys on the floor before the season ends. So, I mean, it is not inconceivable that come April 9th, when Luka Doncic is back here, that all three of the bigs are back in the fold.
Wow.
That would be, honestly, a stunning turn of events if all three of them are on the floor by the time Luka Doncic and the Lakers returned, because that did not feel like that was going to be the case, especially given the way that this team has played over the last few weeks, that would be a remote possibility. But it's 82 games in a regular season. It's a long, long season. The Mavericks.
Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Is the mic still working?
Nope.
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
You promise. You promise. You wouldn't lie to me.
Never.
So yeah,
Is Sarah happy?
I think Sarah left when you showed back up. So who knows? No, I'm just
Not surprising. The way my day is going, not surprising.
So that's, I mean, if you're a Mavericks fan who wants them to make the play-in, that is a bit of good news when you're thinking about the schedule relative to these big men coming back and potentially seeing all three of them on the floor. What else do you have for us as we close our show today?
No, the other thing, Tim mentioned it. So I'm told not only was Rick Welts in New York last night, that Patrick Dumont was indeed with the team as well. Obviously, Patrick Dumont did not stop by the press row TV desk to chat with Mark Followell and Devin Harris. But that, I do think, is the reason why we heard from Rick Welts at that game, because the Board of Governors meetings, the April edition, typically was the last week of the season. The NBA has moved it up by a couple of weeks. I don't know the reason why, but it doesn't typically happen in late March. Like I said, it usually happens right around the end of the regular season. But there are Board of Governors meetings in New York this week, I believe today and tomorrow. And so it would appear that both the owner and the CEO are on hand for that.
Probably getting bullied by the rest of the NBA right now, if I had to guess.
Damn.
They're probably getting a lot of bad glances, a lot of sour looks.
Could be.
I would love to be in the room to be able to tell you for sure, but unfortunately, that is beyond my notebook.
They don't give you
But
the Zoom
hey.
link. They don't give you the Ecamm link for that.
It would be it would be awesome if I got accidentally sent the Ecamm link to that one.
They don't do it over Signal, so
Yeah.
Look at you, Mark. Look at you, man. Good for you. Good for you, man. That's a hell of a reference, man. My God.
How are we today? Beyond my issues and troubles, how are you guys?
We're
Lovely.
doing well.
It's
Lovely.
It's a wonderful Wednesday, man. The sun is shining. It's nice outside. We're moving closer to April. Thank goodness. So yeah, man, things are looking up. Things are looking up. You doing
My
okay?
mic's still working? My mic's still
All right,
working?
Mark. All right. Now you know your mic is working.
Rugged
Wait,
road,
Mark.
man. Rugged road. The story of my season.
Since you seem to be real adamant about wanting to do that read, we're gonna give you a shot to do that read one of these days. Come up here real soon. You keep mentioning Rugged Road around here.
Mark, why is Kayla Martin just? Do you have any update
does
on
he
him?
work
The answer,
here?
the answer can be no, and it can be as simple as that. But like,
And you got to do it
He
in
was
30 seconds.
oh, he's injured. Oh, now he's really injured. Oh, he's back. Oh no, he's injured again. It's just
Yeah, look, we don't have much in the way of detail, but he played 5 games and now he's back injured. So I think that pretty much tells you there was a setback of some sort. And, he's, the 5 games clearly did not go to plan. I think we can safely infer that.
okay.
That can be a microcosm for the Mavericks season, not according to plan. Mark, we appreciate you. It's good to see you. We're going to let you go work on your mic some more so you can have that ready by the time we talk to you tomorrow or on Saturday this weekend. Otherwise, we appreciate the time as always, man. Good to see you.
Thanks for putting up with me, chat. Thanks for putting up with me, guys. Fast Channel 59 alert. I will see you later.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye, Mark.
Bye, Mark.
That's our National NBA insider, Marc Stein. You can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line. Gentlemen, that'll do it for us today on this Wednesday afternoon. We appreciate all of you joining us on the DLLS Mavs podcast. We will be back tomorrow with our...
Now your mic is broken.
That's right.
Everything is falling apart.
Our pregame show tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Early start time. Tip off at 6 p.m. tomorrow. So our pregame show,
Is it really?
yeah, 6 p.m. start time tomorrow as the Mavericks visit the Orlando Magic. That means our pregame show will begin at 5:30 p.m. 5:30 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports with tip off at 6 p.m. We will have our postgame show 15 minutes afterwards, which clearly makes my guy Bobby Curler really happy for an early start time.
I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted because that means my work day kind of blends right into the pre and post, so it's tough. I like having a little buffer, but we'll see.
Shout out to Coffee Lover, new subscriber to
Let's
DLLS.
go.
Shout out to you. Thank
Let's
you
go.
so much.
I also love coffee.
And our DLLS sports family. Thank you to our producer Tanner for making us look good and sound good as always. Appreciate you, sir. That is our Mavericks analyst Bobby Curl. That's our beat writer Tim Cato. I'm your host Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We will talk to you tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all be good and have a good day. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Peace.